Hi, hello. So, good morning, one and all. This is class 8 of financial accounting. So, in the previous class, we have discussed certain terms like what ma outstanding expenditure, next prepaid expenditure, next income receivable. Okay, now what is the journal entry for the outstanding expenditure? Expenditure account debit to outstanding expenditure. We have taken example of what ma salaries, outstanding salaries. What are the two outcomes? Salary and outstanding salary. Here the salary is a nominal account because it is an expenditure. Next, when come to the outstanding salary, it is called as what ma representative personal account because we are using instead of all the employees the account called as outstanding salaries. Okay, now not paying to the MS Dhoni means whether they will pay to the another employees or not. They will not pay to the another employees also. So the employees will have the group of people. So instead of the group of people, we are using the word called as outstanding salaries. So that account is called as representative personal account. So they will test what is the type of account also in our examination for the MCQs point of view. Okay na? So please be remember. So what is the entry we'll get ma? Outstanding salary is a liability. Okay na? Credit balance increases credit. Next salary is an expenditure. Debit balance increases debit. Then we will get the entry called as salary account debit to outstanding salary account. Next, when come to the expenditure, what ma? Prepaid expenditure. We have taken example of what ma? We have paid the rent prepaid. Okay na? The two outcomes are prepaid expenditure and cash. So the prepaid expenditure is also called as representative personal account. So prepaid expenditure means an asset. Asset or liability? Asset. So asset debit balance increases debit. Next one come to the cash point of view. Cash is also an asset, but comes in a goes out. Goes out. So the balances will be decreases. What we will do? Credit. So what is the entry? Prepaid rent account debit to cash account. What is the normal general entry? Prepaid expenditure account debit to the cash account. So here the prepaid expenditure will be considered in the case of cash basis, will not be considered in the case of accrual basis. Okay now. Next, when come to the outstanding expenditure, will be considered in accrual basis, will not be considered in the cash basis. Next, we have discussed the which concept ma income receivable. What is the meaning of income receivable? Income during the current year, but received or not received? Not received. We have taken example of interest receivable. Okay, now. So interest receivable, what are the two outcomes ma? Interest and interest receivable are the two outcomes. Here the interest is called as an income. Okay na? Credit balance increases credit. Next interest receivable is an asset. Debit balance increases debit. Then what is the entry ma? Interest receivable account debit to interest account or interest income account. We can call it as like that also. In the today's class, next one. So income receivable will be considered in the case of accrual basis, will not be considered in the case of cash basis. What is the meaning of accrual basis? Accrual basis means whether paid or payable, received or receivable will be considered, but related to current year, related to next year. But it should be related to current year. Then what is the cash basis? Whether paid or received will be considered irrespective of the year. Irrespective of current year, we will consider whether paid or received. Only cash transactions will be considered here, irrespective of the year. So next one, what is the next concept ma? Income received in advance. What is the transaction number? 19 20 or 19 20. Transaction number 20. Income received in advance. Income received in advance. First write the meaning. Later I will explain the concept. This is the somewhat different concept when compared to the previous three concepts. Okay now. In the previous three concept, outstanding expenditure means liability. We know, generally only we will know. Next one, income received, prepaid expenditure is called as asset. Next, income receivable is called as asset. Now, here we need to justify the income received in advance as a liability. First of all, what is the meaning of, I will say the later point of time what is the meaning. First of all, income received in advance is called as what ma? Liability. Liability. So let us write the meaning. It refers to money that a business receives before providing goods or services. Providing goods or services. This is a normal general meaning. So what is the meaning of this one? It refers to a money that the business receives before providing goods or services. Generally, if you take the example of BCCA, BCCA will provide the service or goods. Service. Okay na? Okay. Or let us take the periodical wise. Okay. Let us take the BCCA an example. No problem. BCCA educational fee. BCCA educational fee. So we are providing the course called as what ma? CAR CMA. What are the courses we will provide? CAR CMA. Okay. For the CAR CMA, okay na, what is the total education fee? Only the what I am asking is, what is the total education fee? Okay, let us take an example amount only. This is not an actual amount. I am taking as 3 lakhs. I am taking as how much ma? 3 lakhs as education fee. That means this 3 lakhs is for CAR CMA Foundation. This 3 lakh is for CAR CMA Foundation. Then what ma? CAR CMA Inter. And next one, CAR CMA Final. Okay na guys? For the total three stages, we are collecting the amount called as how much ma? 3 lakhs. It is just an example. I don't know the actual amount of education fee. Okay na? I am bifurcating. For the foundation, 1 lakh. For the foundation, how much ma? 1 lakh. For the inter, how much ma? 1 lakh. For the final, how much? 1 lakh. Okay na? 3 lakhs I have divided into 3 categories. For the foundation 1 lakh, inter 1 lakh, and the final 1 lakh for the calculation purpose. Okay. But we are collecting total 3 lakhs in the stage of CMA Foundation itself. What I am doing ma? We are collecting the total 3 lakhs in the stage of CMA Foundation. This is called as a separate program called as SSP, single step program like that. SSP means single step program. Directly we are going to pay the total amount of 3 lakhs in the stage of CMA Foundation. So for the foundation, how many years it will be take? For example, imagine for each level, it will take the 1 year, 1 year, 1 year like that. It will take the 1 year, 1 year, 1 year. So totally this 3 lakhs we have to recognize in how many years ma? This 3 lakhs benefit we are getting for 3 years or 2 years or 1 year? 3 years. Okay na guys? 3 years. So now only the student have joined. In the current year, the student have joined. Okay na? The student paid how much amount? 3 lakhs. Student paid how much amount ma? 3 lakhs. We have collected the total 3 lakhs in the current year itself. We have collected the total 3 lakhs in the current year itself. So In this 3 lakhs, so please be very careful here. In this 3 lakhs, current year amount is equal to how much? 1 lakh. Current year amount is equal to how much, ma? 1 lakh. Next year amount is equal to 2 lakhs. Let us take the years, okay na? We are following the calendar years. We are following what, ma? Calendar years. What is the calendar year? This one. 2020, 2025 is the current year. 2026 is the next year. 2027 is that next year. So for the 2025, how much amount? 1 lakh. For 2026, how much amount, ma? 1 lakh. For 2027, how much amount? 1 lakh. Okay, na guys? So this 3 lakh should be bifurcated into the 3 years, because for each and every level we will take how many years? 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, like that. But we have collected the total amount in the current era, in the next era, in that next era. We have collected the total 3 lakhs in the current year itself. But in this 3 lakh, 1 year belongs to the current year. 1 year belongs to the current year. But this 2 lakhs is not belongs to the current era, belongs to the current era. This 2 lakhs is not belongs to the current year. So that this 2 lakh will be called as what, ma? Income received in advance. This 2 lakh will be called as what, ma? Income received in advance. But service is provided or not provided? But service is not provided. Still, okay, na, BCCA has an obligation to provide the service, so that income received in advance is called as a liability. So that income received in advance called as what, ma? Liability. Once again, I am going to discuss. What is the example we have taken, ma? BCCA education fee. Okay, na, BCCA will provide the courses called as what, ma? CA and CMA. So for the total education, they will charge how much, ma? 3 lakhs. It is just a for example. So for each and every level, we have bifurcated into 1 lakh, 1 lakh and 1 lakh. Each and every program will be completed. It will be take the time of 1 year, 1 year and 1 year. But the total 3 lakhs have been collected in which year? Current year itself. So 2025 means which year, ma? Current year. 2026 means further years. Okay, na? 2026 and 2027 is not the current years, they are next years. But you have collected totally how much amount? 3 lakhs in the current year itself. So 1 lakh will be called as income received. 1 lakh will be called as income received. This 2 lakhs will be called as income received in advance. Income received in advance. Okay, na? This income received in advance is called as a liability. Why, sir? Because the BCCA has an obligation to provide the service in future. In future, in present, in future. So anything have to provide means is called as a liability. Okay, na? They have collected the fee, but they are provided or they have not provided. They have not provided. This income received in advance can also be called as deferred revenue expenditure. Can also be called as what, ma? Deferred revenue expenditure. So what is the meaning of deferred revenue expenditure? Will be clearly discussed in the capital and revenue transactions. Okay, na? So this is also called as, at the time of discussion of asset bifurcation, we have divided the asset into how many types? 2 types. Current asset, non-current asset. Non-current asset is also called as fixed asset. Okay, na, guys? Okay, now are you getting the point or not? Fixed asset. Fixed asset is categorized into how many types, ma? 3 types. Tangible, intangible and not the fictitious assets. Vesting assets. Okay, na? Vesting assets. Current asset is classified into how many types? 3 types. What are they? Liquid, non-liquid assets and fictitious assets. So this is also called as what, ma? Fictitious asset. Income received in advance can also be called as liability, can also be called as fictitious asset, can also be called as deferred revenue expenditure. Can also be called as what, ma? Deferred revenue. Sorry guys. Fictitious assets can be called as what, ma? Fictitious asset. This is not a deferred revenue expenditure. So income received in advance is called as asset or liability? Liability. This is a liability. This can be called as what, ma? Fictitious assets, not a deferred revenue expenditure. But the treatment will be like that only. So totally we have received how much amount ma? 3 lakhs. So in that current year P&L account, how much amount we will show? We will show only 1 lakh in the current year P&L account. In the current year P&L account, how much amount we will show? We will show 1 lakh. But remaining 2 lakhs will be shown in the balance sheet liability side. Balance sheet liability side. Okay na guys? So there I will give the confirmation. So up to now, this is only the liability, okay na? Because we are getting benefit in the current, we have given the service in the current year, next year. We will give the service in the next year. This is called as a liability, okay na? So this 2 lakh will be recorded in the liability side of the balance sheet. 1 lakh will be recorded in the income side of that, nothing but credit side or debit side? Nothing but credit side of the P&L account, okay na? This is just a liability, okay na? Please remember it is just a liability. Okay now, is everything fine? Is there any doubts to you? What is the meaning of this one? Income received in advance means, now read the definition. What is the definition ma? It refers to a money that the business receives. How much amount the BCCA have received ma? 3 lakhs have been received, okay na? But before providing after providing before providing the goods or service. Here the service is provided or not provided? Even though service is not provided, we have received how much amount, extra amount? The 2 lakhs. The 2 lakh is called as, okay na? What ma? Income received in advance. This is a liability for the business. Will be shown in the balance sheet liability side. But 1 lakh will be shown in the P&L account. P&L account in credit side. Which side ma? Credit side. Okay na? Did you get the clarity or not? So here. So total education fee is equal to how much ma? 3 lakhs. Total education fee is equal to how much ma? 3 lakhs. In this 3 lakh, okay na? Current year amount is how much? Current year amount and next year's amount. What is the current year amount ma? Current year amount is only 1 lakh. What is the next year amount? 2 lakhs. This 1 lakh is called as what ma? Income received, income received in advance. Income received. We have to think from the point of view of whom ma? BCCA. We have to think from the point of view of BCCA. Next one. 2 lakhs is called as income received in advance. Income received in advance. Okay na guys? Did you get the clarity or not? This 1 lakh fee is for the foundation. This 1 lakh is for the foundation. 2 lakh is for inter and final. But we have provided or we have not provided? Still we have not provided, but we have received or not received? We have received. So the obligation to provide the service is still pending in the hands of BCCA, so that we have to provide, so that this is a liability or asset. This is a liability, will be recorded in the balance sheet liability side. This 1 lakh is called as an income, will be recorded in the P&L account credit side. Okay, what are the two outcomes? Income received, in the income received case, what are the outcomes ma? Income, nothing but fee received. We can take what ma? Fee received and cash. Yes or no? Fee received and cash. In the case of income received in advance, what are the two outcomes? Fee received in advance fee received in advance and cash. Okay now if you follow the cash basis, means how much amount you will recognize in the books of accounts. We will recognize whether received or paid. we received totally how much amount ma? We received totally 3 lakhs. So in the, if you follow the cash basis means we will recognize the 3 lakhs in our books of accounts. If you follow the accrual basis means we have to see whether which amount is related to current account. The amount of 1 lakh is related to current account. The amount of 2 lakhs is related to next year's. So that as per accrual concept, we will not consider the income received in advance. As per the cash basis, we will consider the income received in advance. Are you getting the point or not? In the cash basis, whether or not related to the current year, we have received the total amount of 3 lakhs, so that in our books we will recognize the as income how much? As income we will recognize 3 lakhs. But if you follow the accrual basis means in our book as a income we will recognize only 1 lakh, 2 lakhs will be recognized as a liability. Okay guys, are you getting the point or not? Okay. So what we have to do ma? Fee received means nothing but what? Income. Fee received means nothing but what ma? Income. Credit balance. Income and credit balance. Next, what we have to do? Credit balance increases or decreases? Increases. So what we have to do ma? Credit. Increases, we have to do the credit. Next, cash means what? Asset. Asset which balance ma? Debit balance. Next, sir, comes into the business or goes out? Comes in. So increases or decreases? Increases. So what we have to do? Debit. Next one. Income received in advance means asset or liability? Liability, because we have an obligation to provide of service or a good. So liability. Liability increases or decreases? Increases. Liability increases. So liability increases means, sorry, first write the credit balance. So which balance it is ma? Credit balance. Increases or decreases? Increases. What we have to do? Credit. What we have to do ma? Credit. Next, cash means again asset. Which balance? Debit balance. So comes in na goes out? Comes in. So increases or decreases ma? Increases. What we have to do? Debit. Okay guys. So now we have to write the journal entries. What is the journal entry for the fee received ma? Cash account debit to fee received account. Cash account debit to fee received account. How much amount ma? 1 lakh and 1 lakh. Next, what is the journal entry for the income received in advance? Nothing but cash account debit to fee received in advance account. How much ma? 2 lakhs and 2 lakhs. Okay na. From this liability, next year how much amount of liability will be decreased? 1 lakh. Okay na. That 1 lakh will be recorded in P&L account, income side, nothing but credit side. Okay na. Still how much amount of liability will be pending? 1 lakh will be pending in the balance sheet liability side. Okay na. You can write this one as what ma? This 1 lakh, this fee received amount will be transferred to profit and loss account. Which side ma? So P&L account, we will follow the nominal account rule. Debit all expenditure and losses, credit all incomes and gains. So that in the P&L account debit side, we will record the expenditure and losses. In the credit side, we will record the incomes and gains. So transfer to P&L account, credit side. Then this fee received in advance will be shown. Where we have to record in the fee received in advance will be shown in the balance sheet liability side. This fee received in advance will be shown under the liability side of balance sheet. Liability side of balance sheet. This is the overall discussion. Or we may take some more examples also. So this is the best example we have seen. Okay, now we have paid totally how much amount? 3 lakhs. In that 3 lakh, 1 lakh is belongs to the foundation, 1 lakh is belongs to the inter, and 1 lakh belongs to the final. But in the current year, we are provided only the foundation service. We provided only the foundation. Still, we have not provided the inter and final. So for the inter and final, how much amount ma? 1 lakh plus 1 lakh, 2 lakhs. So that current year amount is only 1 lakh. Okay, now next year amount is 2 lakhs. The total amount of 1 lakh should be recorded as the income received, and the total amount of 2 lakhs should be recognized as the income received in advance. Okay, now still we have to give the service, so that this is called as a liability. Okay, now guys. So this is the clear picture about the income received in advance. Now, in the cash basis, we will consider the income received in advance, but in the accrual basis, we are not going to consider the income received in advance. So write the note point. Completed up to here. Is there any doubts? Same opposite. Here we have recorded liability and income. Same like this will be there. Deferred revenue expenditure will be there. Okay, na. Expenditure side and asset side we have to record. Okay, na. So at that point of time we will be discussed. Okay, na. Note point. What is the note point, sir? Where we have to consider and where we should not consider. Cash basis and accrual basis. Okay, guys. What is the meaning of cash basis, sir? Whether received or paid will be recorded irrespective of the current year or not. Okay, now. So we will consider both income received. We'll consider both income received plus income received in advance. Both income received and income received in advance. But in accrual basis, we will consider only income received. We'll consider only income received. Next one, what ma? We will not consider income received in advance. Or we may take the second example like what ma? AC service centers. If you take the air conditioner service centers, okay na, we will pay the total 2 years service fee for the air conditioner service center. If you take, if they provided the 1 year service, they will take 1 lakh. If they provide the 1 year service, they will take what ma? 1 lakh. But we have paid 2 lakhs for the next year also. Okay na. You have to think from the point of view of AC conditioner servicing point of view. Okay, now for 1 year we will collect the amount of 1 lakh. Okay, now but we have received how much amount? 2 lakhs. That means they are paid for the next year also in the previous itself, in the current year itself. That means current year income how much ma? 1 lakh. So income received in advance how much ma? 1 lakh. Okay, now but current year income should be recorded in the P&L account credit side. Okay, now next year income should be recorded in the balance sheet liability side, because we have an obligation to provide the service, so that this is called as a liability. So this kind of advances we can see in the gym also, gym services. Okay, now we will pay the annual fees, we will pay the something like that. Okay, now subscriptions also. If you pay the subscription fee at the middle of the year, okay, now at the middle of the year, annual fee we have made how much ma? Annual fee for the middle of the year. 6 months amount should be recognized in the current year, 6 months amount should be recognized in the next year. So like that, if you take, there are so many examples, but I have taken the education service in order to understand by yourself. So in this way we have completed the 4 special transactions. What are the 4 special transactions? Outstanding expenditure. Okay, now next one entamma? Prepaid expenditure, income receivable, and income received in advance. Okay, now so now we have to solve one question regarding to the what is the meaning of cash basis and accrual basis. Is there any doubts regarding to this? So final point we need to write. What is the final point ma? Income received in advance will be considered in cash basis, will not be considered in accrual basis. Will not be considered. In accrual basis. Okay, guys, it is just an liability. Okay, now outstanding expenditure is also a liability. Okay, now prepaid expenditure asset, income receivable asset, income received in advance liability. Okay, guys, did you get clear picture about this? Is there any doubts or not? There is no doubts, sir. Okay, please open the workbook. Last question of the first chapter. Okay, now we have to find out the profit as per cash basis and profit as per accrual basis. Okay, now so for this you need to get the clear clarity about the outstanding expenditure, prepaid expenditure, income received and income received in advance. The most important topics we can expect in the, for how many marks? In the examination for 7 marks. The most important topic. So these are the basics. Again, I am saying this is the basics or not. This is a basics only. Okay. What is the requirement? So in accounts, the requirement of the question, and what is the meaning of this requirement means what we need to do in the question will be given in the at the end of the question. What is the end of the question here? Ascertain the profit or loss if he adopts the cash basis of accounting and accrual basis of accounting. We need to find out the profit or loss. How we will find out the profit or loss? In order to find out the profit or loss, we need an incomes and we need a expenditure. Okay, now if the income is more than the expenditure, we will call it as a profit. If the expenditure is more than the income, we will call it as a loss. Okay, now so with the most energy, let us start the doing of the find out. How to find out the profit as per cash basis. First we are going to discuss about the cash basis, accrual basis, cash basis. So what is the meaning of cash basis, sir? We will consider the cash transactions. We'll consider only the cash transaction irrespective of the year, whether received or paid, irrespective of the year, we will consider. Okay, na guys? So let us start. So cash purchases will be considered or will not be considered. First, we are going to tick mark of the consider things. Next, we are going to analyze what is the amount of total expenditure and what is the amount of total income. Okay, guys, shall I start? Cash purchases will be considered or not? Yes, will be considered because it is a cash related transaction. Next one. Cash sales will be considered or will not be considered? Will be considered because it is a cash related transaction. Next one, credit purchases will be or will not be? Will not be considered because it is a credit transaction. Only the cash transactions will be considered because we are thinking from the point of view of cash basis or accrual basis. Cash basis. Next, credit sales will not be considered because it is not a cash transaction. Next, income received will be considered or will not be considered? Will be considered. Received means whether cash comes in or goes out? Comes in. So that this is a cash transaction or not a cash transaction? Cash transaction. Next one, income received in advance. Okay, now how much amount? 6,000, but included in the 80,000. So 80,000 included means what? Yabo, in the income received of 80,000, already included how much? 6,000. We are following the cash basis or accrual basis? Cash basis. Okay, now income received in advance. Just now we have discussed. Okay, now if you open that one, so what is the conclusion point we have written? If you see the conclusion point, income received in advance. Income received in advance will be considered in cash basis, will not be considered in accrual basis. That means we should consider or we should not consider? We should consider. But here no need to consider. Actually we need to consider because we need to consider. But this 6,000 is already included where? This 6,000 is already included in the 80,000. So that again we no need to consider. Okay, now normally we should consider. Okay, now but what this 6,000 is already included in where? Included in 80,000. So that again we no need to consider it. Again we no need to consider. Okay, now guys, actually we should consider, but we are not going to consider. Why? Because this in this 80,000 including of how much? 6,000. So that we are not going to consider it. Okay, now actually we should consider. Next one, income due but not yet received. That means what? Income receivable, whether received or not received? Not received. So that we should not consider. Okay, now in the cash basis we will consider only the cash transactions. This is not a cash transaction, so we are not going to consider. Next one, guys, expenses paid will be considered or will not be considered? Will be considered because this is a cash transaction. And next one, expenses paid in advance included of 8,50,000. What is the meaning of this one? This 20,000 is already included in 8,50,000. Okay, first of all, sir, expenditure paid in advance means whether paid or not paid? Paid. That means cash transaction or not a cash transaction? Cash transaction. Normally we should consider or we should not consider? We should consider. Nothing but prepaid expenses. Nothing but what? Prepaid expense. If you go to our notes, okay, now what we have written in the prepaid expenditure? We have written in the prepaid expenditure. What is the conclusion point we have written? The prepaid expenses will be considered in cash basis, will not be considered in accrual basis. So from this point of view, if you think that one, where is this one? If you think that one, so this 20,000 actually we should consider, but we are not going to consider. Why? Because this 20,000 is already included in 8,50,000. So that we are not going to consider once again. Okay, already included, so that we are not going to consider. But actually what we need to do? Actually we should consider, but here we are not. Why we are not considering? Because this 20,000 is included in the 8,50,000. So that means here expenses paid is overall amount we have considered. Only 8,30,000 we have considered. 8,50,000 we will consider. So that once again this 20,000 will not be considered. Okay, na guys? Are you getting my point or not? Chiranjeevi? Next one, expenses not yet paid. That means paid or payable? Payable. Outstanding expenditure. Okay, na? whether this is a cash transaction or credit transaction, not a cash transaction, so that this is not considered. Okay na guys, are you getting my point or not? Or otherwise, if you want to get clarity of this one, so while income received, consider only how much amount? 74,000. Consider only how much amount ma? 74,000. After that, consider how much amount? 6,000 here. Or otherwise, so exclude this one. Or otherwise, what ma? Exclude this one and write directly how much amount? 80,000. Guys, are you getting my point or not? Okay na? So in this is how we will find out the profit in the case of cash basis. So here, how many transactions we need to consider? Only the 4 transactions we need to consider. What are them? Cash purchases, cash sales, next income received and expenses paid. These are the 4 items we will consider. First, to find out the incomes. What are the incomes ma? Cash sale is an income or expenditure? Income. Next, income received is how much ma? Income received is how much? 80,000. So cash sale is rupees 40 lakh plus 80,000. How much ma? 40 lakh 80,000 is income or expenditure? Income. Next, expenditure. Cash purchases, income or expenditure? Expenditure. How much ma? 15 lakhs. How much ma? 15 lakhs. So next one, expenses paid. Expenditure or income? Expenditure. How much ma? 8,50,000. So 8,50,000 plus 15 lakhs. How much ma? 23 lakh 50,000. Then we'll get a profit or loss? Profit. Because the income is how much ma? 40 lakh 80,000. The expenditure is how much ma? 23 lakh 50,000. What is the profit we will get? 17 lakh. Guys, are you getting my point or not? Yes. Now this whole picture we have to write here. Okay na? So what is the question number ma? Question number is 13. Question number is what ma? 13. So let us put the heading at the middle of the page. Question number 13. Okay, in the examination also you have to write the question number on the middle of the page itself. You should not write at the sideways. Okay na? Question number. What is the question number, guys? 13, huh? Question number 13. So in this we are going to solve the first case. What is the first case ma? Calculation of profit or loss in the case of cash basis. Calculation of profit or loss on cash basis, or based on cash basis, you can put like that also. Next one, particulars and amount rupees. Okay guys, first write the incomes. So what are the incomes given in the question? Cash sales, credit sales. Right. First of all, we are going to write all the incomes. So we will consider means we will write the amounts. Otherwise, we are not going to write the amounts. Okay na? So what is the first one ma? Cash sales. Amount how much? 40 lakhs. Okay, next one. What is the next one? Credit sales. Credit sales we will consider or we should not consider? We should not consider because it is a credit transaction. So that I am putting the dash mark. Okay na guys? Okay, next one. Income received. So how much amount we have received? We have received how much amount, ma? 80,000. Respond in a louder manner. 80,000. We have to deduct the income received in advance. How much amount we have received? 6,000. So minus 6,000 means how much amount, ma? 74,000. Are you getting my point? 74,000. Here we are not going to consider the credit sales. Why? Not a cash transaction. Not a cash transaction, so that we are not considered the credit sales. Okay, na guys? Income received totally 80,000, but 6,000 is called as income received in advance, so that we have separated. Okay, na? Next one, what we have to do? Income received in advance. How much amount, ma? 6,000. Now we will consider. Okay, na guys? Either income received totally 80,000 consider. If you consider the income received 80,000 means we are not going to consider the income received in advance. But here we have considered only 74,000 as income received, so that we are considering the income received in advance. Okay, next one. Income receivable. How much, ma? So nothing we should not consider, because what, ma? Not a cash transaction. How much amount we will get? What is the total? 40 lakh. lakh 80,000 is the total income, total expenditure. Total income. Next, in the same way, we are going to see the expenses. Okay, na? Expenditure. What is the first expenditure we are having, ma? Cash purchase, cash sales? Cash purchases. What is the total of cash purchase? 15 lakhs. The total of cash purchases is equal to how much, ma? 15 lakhs. Next one. Credit purchase. How much? 3 lakhs. But we will consider, or we will not consider, ma? Credit purchases will not be considered. So I am taking as a nil. In bracket what, ma? Not a cash transaction. What is the third point? Expenses paid. How much expenses we have paid? Totally we have paid of 80,000, but in this 80,000, sorry, 8 lakhs. 8,50,000. Totally how much expenditure we have made, ma? 8,50,000. But in this 8,50,000, 20,000 is called as what, ma? Expenditure paid in advance, so that we are going to deduct it. Okay, na? So 8,50,000. 8,50,000 minus 20,000. How much, ma? 8,70,000. Sorry. 8,30,000. Okay, na guys? Next one. What is the next point? Prepaid expenses. What is the amount of prepaid expenditure, ma? 20,000. Next, outstanding expenses. We will consider or we will not consider? Not a cash transaction. Okay, na guys? So what is the total of expenditure? So please put the add symbol. What is the total, ma? 23 lakhs 50,000. What is this one? Total expenditure. So total income is equal to how much, ma? 40 lakh 80,000. Total expenditure is equal to 23 lakh 50,000. So we are getting a profit or loss? We are getting a profit. What is the profit formula? Income minus expenditure. What is the income we are getting, ma? 40 lakh 80,000 minus 23 lakh 50,000. That is equal to 17 lakh 30,000. So in this way, we have solved the question called as what, ma? Profit as per cash basis or accrual basis? Profit as per cash basis. Is there any doubts? No, because we have discussed the total basic concept in the previous class itself. Completed expenditure. Now we are going to solve the question, same question as per which basis? Accrual basis. Okay, let us put the heading, second part, calculation of profit or loss on accrual basis. So what are the headings, ma? Particulars. And amount rupees. Here, what is the meaning of accrual basis, sir? Accrual basis means cash transactions will be considered, credit transaction will be considered. Okay, now whether expenditure paid will be considered, payable also considered, but related to current year. So first we are going to see the incomes. What is the first income? Cash sales or credit sales? Cash sales. How much amount? 40 lakhs. How much amount, ma? 40 lakh. Here also we are forget to put the plus symbols. Let us put the plus here. Okay, what is the amount of cash sales? 40 lakhs or 30 lakhs? 40 lakhs. $40 lakhs. Then after credit sale, here credit sales will be considered or will not be considered? Will be considered. In the cash basis, we are not considering, because in the cash basis, we will consider only the cash transactions. So what is the amount of credit sales? The amount of credit sales is 5 lakhs. Next one, income received. Totally we received the income of rupees how much, ma? We received the income of rupees 80,000, but in this 80,000, 6,000 is called as what, ma? Income received in advance, so that we are reducing it. Okay, na? 80,000 minus 6,000. How much, ma? 74,000. Okay, na, guys? Next. Income received in advance will be considered or will not be considered? Will not be considered. Why we are not going to consider it? Not related to current year. Not related to current year. Next one. What is the next point, ma? Income receivable. Income receivable will be considered or will not be considered? Will be considered. At the time of discussion of income receivable, what is the note point we have written? Income receivable will be considered in the case of accrual basis, will not be considered in the case of cash basis. How much amount we have to be receivable, ma? 15,000. So now total all the incomes. 40 lakh plus 5 lakh plus 74,000 plus 15,000. 45 lakhs 89,000. This is called total income. This is called total income. Is there any doubt, guys? No. Next one. So please write down up to here. Next one. What is the next one, ma? Expenses. Expenditure. What is the first expenditure? Cash purchases. How much? How much the cash purchases? 15 lakhs. Next one. Credit purchase will be considered or will not be considered? In the accrual basis, cash transactions will be considered and credit transaction will also be considered. How much the credit purchases, ma? 3 lakhs. The credit purchase is 3 lakhs. Next one. What is the next point? expenses paid. Total expenses we have paid for rupees how much ma? Expenses paid is 8,50,000. In the 20,000 is belongs to expenditure paid in advance. So that we need to reduce this. So 8,50,000 minus 20,000. How much ma? 8,30,000. Next one. Expenses paid in advance. Will be considered or will not be considered? Will not be considered because not related to current year. Not related to current year. What is the final one? Outstanding expenditure. Will be considered or will not be considered? Will be considered because it is belongs to current year, related to current year. What is the amount? Expenditure not yet received means nothing but what ma? Outstanding expenditure 45,000. What is the total of expenses? 15 lakh plus 3 lakh plus 8 lakh 30 plus 45,000. 26 lakh 75,000. What is the meaning of this one? Total expenses. Total expenses. Now profit is equal to incomes minus expenses. What is the amount of income ma? 45 lakh 89,000 minus 26 lakh 75,000. Then we'll get a profit of 19 lakhs 14,000. This is the overall profit as per accrual basis. Please take a note of it. This is how we have completed all the basics related to journal entries, as well as we will learn about the concept called as cash basis and accrual basis. Hybrid basis, on that hybrid basis we are not going to get any question, no problem. Okay na? So in this class I am going to discuss certain profit calculations. So how to calculate the profit, how we'll get the correct profit or loss. Certain small calculation, a small discussion, no need to write anything. And again this concept will be discussed in the final accounts chapter, no problem. So normally we all know that what is the purchase value. Normally we have purchased a good for rupees 100. On this what we will do, we will add a profit. We will add a profit of 10 rupees. Okay, now profit of 10 rupees. So what is the percentage? At what percentage we are adding the profit? 10%. How did we get the 10%, sir? Sir, 10 divided by 100, that is equal to 10 percentage. Okay, na? Nothing but how to calculate the percentage. Generally, we already know in the 10th class. Which class, ma? 10th class. The total marks is for how many marks? 600 marks. For the 600 marks, we have got 300 means. We have got 300 marks. That means what is the percentage? 50 percentage. Okay, now how did we get? Okay, now. So this is a simple calculation. We can call it as a cross multiplication also. 600 marks is equal to 100 percentage. Is equal to 100 percentage. Then 300 marks is equal to how much percentage? 600 marks is equal to 100 percentage means then 300 marks is equal to how much percentage? A simple calculation. 300 into 100 divided by 600. How did we get, ma? 300 into 100 divided by 600. Then how did we get, ma? 50. We got the 50 or not? Yes. So that means 50 percentage. Like that we have got. In the same way here also, we have purchased the goods for rupees how much, ma? 100 rupees. On that we are adding a profit of 10 rupees. That means what is the percentage of profit? That is equal to 10 percentage. How did we get, ma? 100 equal to 100. 100 equal to 100%. 100 equal to 100%. Then 10 equal to how much? So how did we got? 10 into 100 divided by 10. Okay, na? That means 100 hundreds will get cancelled. Then what is the final answer? 10 percentage. What is the final answer, ma? 10. Okay, na? Did you got the point or not? Yes. Now I will give some more calculation. Okay, na, guys? We have made the purchases for rupees 100. We made the purchases for rupees 100. We have added a profit. We added a profit of 10 rupees. Added a profit of 10 rupees. Then if you total this one, we'll get how much, ma? 110. What is this one? This one is called as a sales. This one is called as a sales. In the before step, I have asked the question. What is the question I have asked? This 10% is, okay, na? This 10 rupees is a, what is the percentage on 100 I have asked. This 10 rupees is what is the percentage on 100 I have asked. Now you want to say for me, what is the percentage of this 10 rupees on 110? What is the percentage of 10 rupees on 110? How we will get, ma? 110 is equal to 100%. 110 is equal to 100%. Then 10 is equal to how much? Then our answer will be nothing but 10 into 100 divided by 110. So 0 will get cancelled or not get? 0 will get cancelled. Then total how much it will be, ma? Huh? Not in the point wise. Okay, na? So let me say there is a some more calculation. So on 100 means we got what, ma? 10%. Nothing but 10 by 100 only, yeah? Nothing but what, ma? 10 by 100. This 10 by 100 can be written as 1 by 10. This 10 by 100 can be written as 1 by 10. Here 1 by 10 on cost we can say. Purchase means what, ma? Cost. Purchase means what, ma? Cost. Okay, na? Nothing but 1 by 10. How did we get the 1 by 10? 10% is equal to 10 by 100. Then we can write it as what ma 1 by 10 also. Here what is the percentage we will get ma here? 110 is equal to 100 percentage. 110 is equal to 100 percentage. Then we can write like this or not? Okay now 100 sorry. So how did we have written 10 divided by 100? How did we have written 10 divided by 100? If we are going to get the what is the percentage we are required? We are going to find out the percentage on sales or on purchase on sales. That means we can write like this 10 divided by 110. That means we can write what ma 10 divided by 110. Then 0 0 will get what ma cancel. Then we'll get answer of 1 by 11. On purchases means what ma 10 divided by 100. On purchases means 10 divided by 100. On sales means 10 divided by 110. Did you get my point or not? Okay now previously what we have done, so for 600 marks how much percentage we are getting means 50 percentage. How did we said ma? You said 300 divided by 600. 300 divided by 600. If you do this one, you will get how much percentage ma? Do this one. 300 divided by 600. %, nothing but 0.5 you will get. Nothing but what ma? 0.5. Into 100 means you will get a 50%. Here also what I am saying is profit percentage on purchase means how will get ma? 10 by 100. 10 by 100. This profit percentage on sales means how we are going to calculate 10 divided by 110. Nothing but what ma? 1 by 11. 1 by 11. That means 110 on cost. 110 on cost is equal to what ma? 111 on sales. 110 on cost is equal to 111 on sales. Or that means cost is less than the sales. So that when come to the cost to the sales, the denominator will be added. Okay now 1 by 10 is equal to 1 by 11. When go to the reverse, sales to the cost means denominator will be reduces because the sales is the highest amount. So nothing but if anything they have given 80 10, that is equal to how much ma? 100. Then what is the percentage on cost means 10 divided by 80. What is the percentage on sales means? The percentage on sales means 10 divided by 100. Like that we have to do 10 by 80, 10 by 100. Okay now simple calculation. We should not convert into the percentages. We should not convert into the percentages. Just 10 by 80, 10 by 100. Nothing but what ma? 110 on cost. 110 on cost is equal to what ma? 1 by 11 on sales. Okay now. Or 1 by 99 on sales is equal to 1 by 98 on cost. Like that we have to calculate. Okay na? On cost on sales. So okay na? Sales is the more amount, cost is the less amount. Because there is a middle one called as profit. Okay na? If you want the sales means we need to add the profit for the cost. So that the sales is the more amount, cost is the less amount. Okay na? Nothing but percentage means 300 divided by like 600. How we have written here also what we have to write ma? 10 divided by 80, 10 divided by 100. And again this concept I will discuss in the final accounts also, no problem. So this is how we have completed the today's class. Okay na guys? So what is the meaning of this one? What is the rate of percentage on cost and what is the rate of percentage on sales? Okay na? So on cost 1 by 10 means on sales how much? 1 by 11. On cost 1 by 88 means on sales 1 by 89. Okay now. On cost 1 by 22 means on sales 1 by 23. Okay now. Cost to sales means increases. Sales to cost means decreases. Simply percentage means 300 marks divided by total marks. Like that only we are doing here also. Okay now. This is how we have completed the discussion. So thank you. Have a nice day. We are going to meet in the next class. The basic concept once I will revise again in the which chapter ma? Final accounts chapter.